Hello and welcome to another episode of Power Talks with the Talk Doctor, featuring Ask the Talk Doctor Live. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the family. Go ahead and smash that like button and that subscribe button, and you're in. That's it. I'm your host, Dr. Dacia, the dynamic speaker, consultant, psychotherapist, and life coach, and I'm always happy to say it is Friday. We made it to another end of the week, and you are here, and I'm so glad you chose to be with us today. Go ahead, grab a seat, get comfortable, because we have an awesome show prepared for you today. I'd love for you to check in. Tell us where you're joining us from, what city you're from, maybe give us a little bit of something about yourself. We're all family here after all. And again, if you are here for the first time, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We guarantee you that you will not be sorry you joined the family of those who stay well informed with the Talk Doctor. So this show, Power Talks with the Talk Doctor, featuring Ask the Talk Doctor Live, is in its second season. And it's a weekly show that addresses relevant topics on health, mental health, wellness, and other matters about life. People can come here, gain support, relax, just be in the moment. And this show is divided into a couple of segments. We have a Power Talks with me, your host, initially. And then we go into the Ask the Talk Doctor segment, where I'm answering all your questions. And by the way, if you don't already know, you can send your questions to us to askthetalkdoctorlive@gmail.com. And we may choose your question to air here on the show, and it's always anonymous. So not to worry about your confidentiality. So we do a Power Talks, we go into the Ask the Talk Doctor Live segment, and then we now have a special treat for you, because now we are absolutely welcoming a lifestyle segment of our show, which you will be able to view today. I'm so excited about it. Hey, Eva from New York, thank you for being here today. Thank you for checking in. Again, remember, send us your questions to askthetalkdoctorlive@gmail.com. And also, remember that you can post your questions in the chat right here on YouTube, or if you're on Instagram, you can post questions in the comment, and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. So it has been at least 3 years. Gosh, I can't believe I'm saying that. 3 years since the coronavirus pandemic made its way through the United States. Now, looking back, we can all say in some way or another, the pandemic has changed our lives. According to Harvard Health, it's really too soon to report out on any significant data on the effects of how the pandemic has really impacted us. But we really don't need the researchers to tell us what that might look like. I mean, look around you. All of the things that we are seeing that are happening in the aftermath of the pandemic is quite alarming, not just to the adults, but also to the most vulnerable population in our society, our children. Listen to what the National Institute of Health notes, and I quote, "The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on mental health of children and adolescents is multifaceted and substantial." Chew on that for a moment. Survey studies regarding child and adolescent mental health and COVID-19 indicated that anxiety and depression, loneliness, stress, and tension are the most observed symptoms. End of quote. Quite alarming, isn't it? And later on, when we really can eyeball the data in real time, I believe that it's going to even give us more of an opportunity to recognize what we need to do in light of all of these disturbing and alarming things that are happening in our society post pandemic. So today, we're talking about just that. On the backside of the pandemic, do you know where your children are? Well, you may be saying to me, of course I know where my children are. But it's one thing to keep track of the physical locations of the people that we love, of course, for safety reasons. However, what I'm talking about today is not always easy to navigate. I'm talking about emotional location, the lasting effects that are occurring post pandemic on our mental health and well being. Now, I can tell you the number of teens and young adults that I see in my practice on a regular basis who are struggling, most linking stress or distress on the backside of the pandemic, the toll of the lockdown, and everything that has happened in the aftermath. They're linking all of these things to their challenges, to the trials that they're experiencing, and just the feeling that I just can't cope. As a parent, you may be asking the question, yes, we know all this. We live it every day. So what's the solution? What do I do about this, Talk Doctor? Well, when I have an adult child living in my home because he or she can't afford a place of his own due to rising costs and impending inflation, and the child is so challenged by the stressors of adulting. Or I have a school age child in my house who is now 2 grades behind in reading and math because he or she suffered, unfortunately, through the idea of learning how to go to school virtually, and now he can't seem to get back on track. Or maybe, as one of my patients indicated, the high school child who will never know what it is like to have a traditional prom, graduation, class trip, or even walking across the stage and accepting their diploma, or walking onto a college campus for the first time as a freshman going to orientation. And yes, unfortunately, my heart aches for them because they live among us in our society and they can't go back. Or how about the babies who've had their innocence stolen because they have to learn survival skills in schools where their safety is threatened, and they live with recurring trauma from an incident they had to witness? Or they meet and play with their preschool and early childhood playmates behind a face covering or mask. Yes, the reality is alarming and it is endless. Or we have the population of children who still won't leave their homes. They don't want to go out anymore because their brain has learned that it's not safe. So they're not able to enjoy school life and social life like we once knew it, like we once remembered. Lastly, there are those who no longer understand this upside down world. So instead, they go off, they take out their anger, their rage, their aggression on society because who else am I going to blame for the way that I feel? Maybe you or someone you know falls into these categories that I've just mentioned because these are your children. Or if you don't have children, they certainly live among you. The pandemic, the schools, the government, who do we blame? Or is it just the way of the world and the signs of these times? Well, we can find something or someone to blame all day while our children continue to suffer in silence. Some not knowing the words or what to do, or even have the mental capacity to begin to articulate to us feelings or what they might need just to cope. Well, there's a place where we can start, and that place is right in our homes. And it starts with how we choose to parent our children. It seems like we have gone away from traditional parenting. Me, I am a firm believer that not everyone was given the role of a traditional parent, meaning the ability to birth a child and raise them up in what they deem the right way. But I also am a firm believer that we all have the capacity to parent someone in some way, shape, or form, even if they're not blood related. What I'm getting at is when there was a time when the village raised the children, and we have somehow gotten away from that, where another adult could correct a child and it be okay. But today, we have this attitude from the children that are being raised today that you can't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy. You're not my mama. And therein lies some of the problems. I also think that there's this idea that we have gone away from, this idea of what we call conscious parenting. You might be wondering, Dr. Hastings, what is conscious parenting exactly? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because many of the parents today have gotten to a place where they have become so tired and so unable to cope with life on life's terms that they simply turn a blind eye to some of the things that are happening right in their own homes because, again, I just don't know what to do. But conscious parenting is a style of parenting that many psychologists and even Dr. Shafel Sabari, who is an author that writes largely on this idea, where the style of parenting essentially focuses back on the parent. What do I mean by that? It's a style of mindfulness parenting. And yes, some of us feel like we have parented for so long that we can do it mindlessly. But in this day and age, we need to get back to mindfully parenting, self-reflecting, doing some thinking about what we might be saying to our children and how it may be impacting them. What meaning can we derive from their reactions as opposed to simply using punitive methods because we don't like their reaction, whereas mindfulness allows us to really think about what that behavior might mean. Conscious parenting. I want to say hey to Audria from New York, who just joined us. Welcome. So we've created home environments that are not emotionally safe. Maybe the physical safety is there, but what about the emotional safety that allows children the space to experience a nurturing, loving environment that allows them some social, emotional, and spiritual space to grow? Most of our spaces today exist where we are all floating through our living spaces like ships passing in the night, hardly having an interaction or a meaningful interaction, which is why we at times miss the emotional signs. We seem to be in a me first society today, and it's spilling over into our homes. Well, since you asked, here's my 2 cents, because I have some tips for you that aligns with this idea of conscious parenting. Now, I know there are many forms of parenting, and if you don't already know, most of us have adopted our parenting styles from the way we were parented. You ever heard yourself say, I'm not going to be my mother, I'm not going to be my father? And then lo and behold, in the midst of your mindless banter to your children, you just said something that your mother used to say, or your father, or your guardian for that matter. Yes, it does happen because subconsciously, that's what tends to occur because our parenting style is learned. But by and large, we can, choose to adopt different styles that may work much better or work well for our children that need different types of parenting. So here are some tips for you, some tips that, I think might be valuable and helpful to those of you who really want to dive into the idea of conscious parenting or being more mindful as you parent. The first thing I want to say is it really is never too late to get in there and get your hands dirty. What do I mean by that? There's an exhaustive amount of research that substantiates that all our children really want from us is love and attention. I'll say that again. All our children really want from us is love and attention. It's important for us to realize that we've got to get in there and ask the hard questions. The questions that we tend to avoid because we think, oh, if I said this or if I said that, what will that mean for my child? Or what will that mean if I'm unable to answer a simple question that the child might have? Or it might be too tough for the response that I get from the child. How do I know how to respond to it? So when we think about these tough challenges, remember, you're the parent. And it's important for you to recognize that when a child shares something, no matter how small, it's worth following up. So get in there and get your hands dirty. Tip number 2 is you need to start as early as possible. Show them that you're present, show them that you're there, show them that you are a safe space for them. And no matter what they say, no matter what they do, they can't omit the affection and the love you will have for them. I know I say to my own children, in this house, we make mistakes, but we don't stay there. To give them an opportunity to understand that mistakes are made. We are all human. We make mistakes. And not impose those self-imposed pressures that we can sometimes put on ourselves because we think that we can't make mistakes. But the idea that that is something that a child can hear and allow them to know that you don't have to become your mistakes. You don't have to stay there. Mistakes are made, but then what? So allow children to know that you're there, you are present, and giving them that space and that nurturing environment very early on will help them to grow with it. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, my kids are older, Talk Doctor, and I missed the boat on establishing that early on. And what I'll say to that is, it's never too late. Even though the child has gone awry and they may seem like they've lost their way, don't give up on them. Don't pass them off as someone who just are at the point of no return. Because when they see this, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy for that child or children to know that, well, I truly believe no one cares about me, and here's my parent showing that to me as well. You see, no one ever said parenting would be easy, which is why I said in the beginning, not everyone was given the opportunity to birth children. It's a tough job, but in the end, there are many rewards if you are mindful and if you are looking for them. It's exhausting, it's a thankless job at times, but you're up for the challenge if you really choose a mindset in which you will never give up on your child. My tip number 4 is about listening. Children are very clever. And when you think they're not listening, oh, they truly are. So you can say something ad nauseum 10, 15, even 99 times, and it seems like it's going over their head. Well, I tell you, it's not. Because lo and behold, when you least expect it, most children will say, remember, you said so and so. And that's really how it works. So when you think they're not listening, they're listening. So your language and your rhetoric and the things that you say to them should be encouraging, uplifting, nurturing, and supportive, despite this fact that sometimes we may get angry, we may get upset, we may get frustrated with them. Always make sure that your rhetoric comes from a place of love. And tip number 5 is my absolute favorite. It's my favorite because let me tell you how narcissistic some parents are. Some of us think it's my way or the highway. That's the sort of authoritative parenting, where everything I say is correct and I don't make mistakes. I'm not wrong, even when your children point it out to you. But tip number 5 of mine is to employ a technique of 360 evaluation in your home. Those of you who are in the business world and organizational world, you know what I'm talking about. Those 360 evaluations that you can't wait to do, because it's not just your supervisor that's evaluating you, but you're evaluating your supervisor too. Well, guess what? It works in your home. This is a technique and a method that we should use often. Why? Because our children are the best at telling us how effective we are. Sometimes, as parents, we don't want to hear it, but it's a technique that offers the best chance for growing your relationship with your children. And really, at the root of everything, that's what this is about. If you want to be able to support them and help them to cope, relationship is key. So, with the idea of a 360 evaluation, from time to time, we're dialoguing back and forth. What's working? What's not working? How can I do this differently? How can I say this differently? My son never hesitates to tell me all the time, well, I didn't say anything because you were yelling. And when I hear that, it's a tip to tell me, scale it back, because he wants to hear your message, not your yelling. And some of us do that. When we get upset, we might raise our voices, and allowing the child a place to tell you how you are doing as a parent will again effectively grow your relationship. Tip number 6 is when it gets to be too much. Don't worry, help is always available. Help can look like seeking a professional, such as myself, a counselor, a coach. Help could also look like your clergy member who sits you down and has a conversation with you. Help can look like a community leader or a mentor, or even the trusted community that I encourage you to build. I will ask each and every one of you, where is your community? We should all have one. We are not living in a vacuum. No one of us is an island. Each and every one of us needs support. And that's what your community should look like. Going back to a time when the village helped, assisted to raise our children. So here's your homework. These 6 tips that I'm about to put on the screen that you can absolutely take a screenshot, stop your video, go back, take a look at them. This will help you essentially to be able to remember what I've shared here today. So, in addition to these parenting tips and tools, your homework assignment today is to go and look around your community and find your community support. Your community could be a trusted friend, a family member, a teacher, somebody who is in your neighborhood, but you have a community of people that you establish a connection with, and that your children recognize that they can also go to for support. Now, choose wisely. Remember, your community is an extension of yourself. And I truly think this is how we get back to where we used to be. I truly think the importance of the village is so essential to allowing us to move forward post pandemic and take care of our children, youth, and young adults. So, that being said, again, if you're joining us for the first time, if you're here, this is your time to go ahead and put your questions in the comment box. Those of you on Instagram, those of you who are on YouTube, it'll be the chat box for you. So if you have questions, if you need a question answered, maybe you're not a parent, but you want to be a part of someone's community, this is a good time for you to place your questions in the chat. While you're doing so, a question that came in for us from a viewer. The question reads, I'm a mother of 5, a single mother of 5, that is, and it's been very difficult to parent my children alone. I myself has had some trauma in my life. Therefore, it becomes very triggering when things happen in my household and I'm not able to cope. One of the things that has happened recently is one of my sons have been acting up. He's smoking weed in my house. He's coming in at all hours. I can't keep track of him. I've asked his father to take him. He took him for a while, but now he's back. Please help. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And my heart goes out to this person because unfortunately, with all we're having to deal with already, a single mom of 5, having, challenges with her son, it must be quite difficult for you. So here's what I would say. Just like we talked about the idea of building a healthy relationship with them, I think what you need is to bring all of your children together and really begin to sit down and have conversations with them about what they might be going through. This can't be a one-off. This needs to be something that happens on a regular basis to really build a community in your household, to really build a support system among each other and allow them to recognize too that they too are all responsible for each other in the household. Secondly, what I would suggest is that you also seek a community, just the way that I'm sharing here, that our viewers' homework assignment will be. You can't do it alone. Clearly, this is a task that requires some trusted people in the community. If your son's father is not involved, there are many supports available in the form of mentors that can really assist you with getting him back on the right track. Community places that you can sign him up for, that he has something to do that is not just about running the streets, but it's more so something that he can use as a valuable way to grow despite what he might be going through. And speaking of what he might be going through, if he's open, it might also be helpful to get him a counselor, a coach, a therapist, that he can have somebody of his own to talk to. You see, oftentimes these challenges that our children are experiencing are because of all of the emotions that they're suppressing. And so they emerge in the form of acting out behavior. If you can't get his father on the same page with you, all is not lost. Keep trying, but again, reach out to your community supports that are available. Family therapy often helps people to open up and talk to each other, but don't forget to also try to see if your son would be open to speaking to a professional as well. I think a good place for you to start is really to sit down with all your children and talk about the things that you are seeing, the challenges for the household, and get them in on the conversation in terms of what they think the solution might be. This idea of 360 evaluation is so imperative in a case like yours, because it does give you an opportunity to hear their side as well, hear what they might be struggling with while you're struggling with parenting as well. I hope this helps. So do we have any questions that have come in the chat or in the comments? If you like this comment, go ahead and give a reaction to it. We would love for you to react to what our viewer has stated. And it's not too late to put your questions in the comments. If you have one, we're happy to take them. You can put them in the chat again. But we're going to go ahead and switch off to our lifestyle segment. I'll come back to any questions you might think of later on. I am so intrigued and so excited to be presenting this aspect of our show. It's the holiday season, and I'm a kid at heart when the holiday comes around. So we've now incorporated a new segment into our show, the lifestyle segment with Starry. Anybody remember Starry? Come on up, Starry. Hey, it's great to see you. I'm glad that you're here.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. So excited to be back.
Yeah, it is indeed. What do you have for us here? Yes. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're going to share with us, it being the holiday season.
Yes, it is the holiday season. So yesterday was December 1st. Yeah. It's now the 2nd. Definitely holidays are in full swing.
It certainly is.
Yes, with all that's happening in today's climate, I mean, many of us might not have the funds. So we don't have to break the bank this holiday season. And please don't, because the heart is priceless. And so pretty much all the gifts that I have today are under $50. The first two are definitely under $10. Wow. And sometimes that might get like a bad rep, like, oh, you didn't spend as much money, but these gifts are memorable and gifts that your loved ones will save for a lifetime.
Absolutely. I love that. Let's hear what the first one is that you want to share with us. Under $10, we can do that.
Under $10.
Yes, definitely.
So pretty much the first thing I have, you see here, is this frame, which we can pick up at the dollar store.
$1.25, remember.
It's $1.25 now, but still under $10. So
yeah.
We can go as low or as high as we want. We can even make our own frames. But this one you can definitely get from, if you want a more fancy one, you can get from the dollar store. If you have a loved one that you have a lot of memories with, or you guys have snapped a few photos, maybe you just put your favorite photo, or you make a collage of you and your friends or you and your family. Nice. Pop a bow on there. Yeah. You could even put it in a nice gift box.
Wow.
You can be as fancy as you want with it. You can decorate the box. You can decorate the frame. Wow. And then your loved one will love it. I promise.
This is nice. And this frame here says friends, so obviously, if you have one with, your friends, this is a great gift to share with your friend. I love it. Yes. I love it. Fascinating. All under $10. What else do you have for us?
Under $10, yes. Next one, I have another gift box. These gift boxes you can also find at our $1.25 store.
Nice.
They have many different colors.
Beautiful.
Yes, many different colors, many different styles, and you can put anything you want in there. But what I brought for you today are some nice note cards. So we can get these, again, dollar store, or we can make our own. Get as creative as you want. Really tailor it to the person that you're going to be giving the gift to. Mm-hmm. What's their favorite color? Get them the card in that color, or just, again, get creative. Go get some markers or some crayons and draw on it. Write a nice note in it. Write some and write a couple of notes in there, actually, and like things that you really appreciate and admire about them. Mm-hmm. And just put it in the box, and here's your
I really like this idea. I'm thinking about the idea of thank you notes and gratitude notes. Exactly. And one of the things that we know, even from this show about gratitude, is that gratitude translates to good mental health. So you're getting 2 for 1 here, and you can write a couple of these to your friends, pop them in the box like Starry said, one for every day of the month, just thanking that person for being in your life, for all the things you might be grateful about, not just friends, but family members. And man, this gift lasts a lifetime.
Lasts a lifetime.
That's so great.
Yeah.
What else do you have for us,
It's
Starry?
so good. So I have 2 more things for you guys today. So this one here is for my viewer, your viewers here. Yes, the ones that are people that are understanding, those that love to listen. So the people in your life, maybe you're hanging out with them, you see it's cold outside now, they don't have any gloves, right? Or you hear them talking a lot about eating ramen noodles. Maybe that's just the best snack for them.
Yes.
Or they love Nutella. So This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create them a gift basket. Man, and I have it here to show you. Oh, Sorry. A nice gift basket.
Wow.
It's got tea in there. It's got taco shells because your friend loves taco shells. Your friend loves tea.
Tacos.
Yes, your friend's a fashionista. She loves bags. Even if it's a man, I mean, maybe we're getting him some grooming products for his skin, for his face.
Nice.
It just depends on who you're going to be gifting, but we're going to make them a nice
Yes.
gift basket. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think this can be as, economical or as expensive as you want it to be. We're trying to save people money. So naturally, buying all of these things like a box of tea and, your favorite ramen noodles or your, taco shells, man, that could be under $10 as well.
Exactly.
This is awesome. I really, really appreciate you sharing this with our viewers. It being the holiday season and everything. I think you said you had one more.
Yeah, one more thing. So yes, all these gifts are great and affordable. So are you a service provider, an entrepreneur? Do you an entrepreneur? You have a side hustle, either be it a service provider or do you have physical products? I mean, maybe your friend, for instance, I'm a social media consultant. I could gift my friend or family member that's falling short on social media a few templates that they can use for the coming year. Maybe you sell t-shirts or candles. I mean, let's take your friend or loved one out to dinner or something and say, here, I gifted my t-shirt that I sell for you.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
So things like that.
Service gifts. So yeah, I really do like that because each and every one of us have a skill, do we not? I would hope that each and every one of us have a skill that somebody can use, even cleaning somebody's house.
Exactly.
During this holiday season is a great gift to give to someone. So you're absolutely right. Gifts of service is just awesome. And speaking of service, one of the things that we now have at my practice, you can go to our website, thetalkdoctor.com, to find out more. But we are now featuring our gift cards that you can give someone the gift of counseling or coaching.
That's awesome.
So you can buy them a gift card in any amount and help them to get started on their journey of healing. So, it's up on the screen for you in terms of what you could use to actually find these service gift cards. I mean, everybody in our lives, we know somebody could use some counseling or coaching. And you're telling them this in such a way to extend to them, hey, I'm going to start you off. I'm going to pay for a session or two for you, is an invaluable gift and a gift that will continue. So we'll place the link in the chat on YouTube. So for those of you who are Instagram, maybe you can go back and do the playback, but it's also up on the screen for you to copy down the link or take a screenshot. Starry lifestyle, love it, just awesome. I hope you'll come back again and share some other ideas with us. We love all of these things you have shared with us today, it being the holiday season. Remember, don't break the bank. You don't have to. You can still give from the heart by using some of these tips and tools we've shared here today.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it, Starry.
Bye, everyone.
So we're going to go ahead and do our wrap up. Thanks again to Starry. And one of the things I'd like to say in closing, the world may be upside down, but your household doesn't have to be. And you can help the children in your life to cope, even in this post-pandemic life. There's a quote that I love very much, and it says, the best inheritance a parent can give his children is a few minutes of his time each day. That goes credit to O.A. Batista. I love that so much because when we think about gifts that are priceless and gifts that keep on giving, it's important for us to understand that the gift of our time is priceless. And I know that we live in a society where we're running here and there, to and fro, and sometimes we can't even find time for ourselves. But I tell you, when you are intentional and you carve out just a little bit of time each week for your child or children, it goes a long way in really building a strong, healthy relationship with them. Now, Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. I am really and truly grateful to say that I have seen that scripture play out in my own life and even in the lives of my children. Because, like we said in one of the tips, when you think they're not listening, they truly are. And when I think about my own child, my own adult child, who I now see the fruits of the labor in her life today, it warms my heart and it reminds me of why it was important to stay the course. And I hope I can pass that on to you. You see, even the National Institute of Health reflects, and I quote, positive coping strategies with family and social support may be important to achieving better outcomes. Due to a limited available evidence, more well-designed studies in this area are urgently needed. And those will come as we continue to grow through the post-pandemic life. So they're telling me that we have a couple of questions in the chat, and I do want to at least take one of them because I know that you have things to do with your day and some of you need to go. So I really want to get you on your way, but I do want to have the courtesy of answering our viewers' questions. So what's the question that's in the chat that our viewer has? And the resources are on the screen for you. Remember, you can also go to our website if you need coaching or counseling help, www.thetalkdoctor.com. And if you're based in the United States, there are many national resources that are up on the screen, as well as the tips I shared here today.
Audrey from New York says, how do you navigate cultural differences in parenting styles when both parents are not from the same culture, i.e. from the Caribbean or Africa, and the child was born in the U.S.?
That's a really great question, Audrey from New York. Thank you for sharing that. So I'll repeat her question. How do you navigate cultural differences? Obviously, with cultural differences, there may be differences in parenting styles. Maybe one parent is from the Caribbean, another one might be from Africa, and the child is from the United States. Well, first and foremost, I look at that as a great mixture right there, because the child gets to get the best of two cultures all in one, and he or she can teach his parents how to embrace the culture in which they now live. But the idea here is that differences can sometimes bring about conflict. Conflict is expected. If we have two parents in the same household, I caution them not to split in front of the children. These parents, first and foremost, have to get on the same page with how they're going to parent their child. Because guess what? No matter how small the child is, they can tell when their parents are split. And when parents continue to be split, even in the same household, it creates a dynamic of conflict and confusion in the home, and the child never really knows which way to go. So it really begins with those two parents, and those two parents may need some help in terms of coaching or counseling, getting them on the same page with how to have a united front in front of their children. Who will take the lead, or will it be a shared responsibility? So that's the first step in navigating. Once those parents get on the same page, the rest is much easier, because they know that regardless of what happens, that they are going to maintain their united front in front of the child, regardless of what the matter might be, and they will parent accordingly. That what I say, what your mother says, together go. There are some people that say, well, what did your mother say? Or what did your father say? Because children know how to split us as well. So they're letting you know that I'm going to hold you accountable, because we are accountable to each other. So if your mother said no, then I said no, and vice versa. So I hope that helped, Audrey in New York. Thank you so much for your question. And again, the resources are on the screen. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this wonderful Power Talks. I want to say thank you so much to all of you who took the time out today to be here with us. You are wonderful viewers who show up time after time to make this show possible. We love you and we thank you for being here. to Starry for her lifestyle segment, which I absolutely love. Thank you so much, Starry, for being here today. And of course, as always, put your questions in the Ask the Talk Doctor Live at gmail.com inbox. Once again, Ask the Talk Doctor Live at gmail.com. You can also find help by contacting us at the Talk Doctor Wellness Consultations at gmail.com, and we'll be happy to respond to whatever your needs might be. We love you. We thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon. Bye now. Happy holidays.